In our last class, we have discussed about the factors of production. So it's a brief recapitulation. There are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, physical capital, and human capital. Land is that plain surface under the soil and the water resources. That means all the marine resources, petroleum, etc. all are coming under land. Next, labor. The labor is the power of laborer which is used in the production process. Okay. So this is labor. It is of 2 types: manual labor or physical labor, and another is mental labor. Physical labor or manual labor, in which we are using more of our hard work, physical work, okay, just like the work of a rickshaw puller, a construction worker, etc. Whereas under the mental work, mental labor, we are using more of our mental power, our intellectual power, our thinking power. Okay, the example is a banker, a teacher, a doctor, an astronaut, etc., scientist, all this. Third is the physical capital. Under the physical capital, we know that it is also of 2 types: fixed capital and working capital. Fixed capital, which gives us yield, yield means output, which gives us yield for a long period of time. And the next thing is, example is building this machinery, this kind of thing. And another is working capital. Working capital, that means the capital which is used up during the period of production, during the process of production, as for example raw materials, money. Okay. And last but not the least is the human capital or entrepreneur. What is this? Now these 3 factors of production are needed to be coordinated. And who can coordinate it? The persons who are having the skill, the education, the training, the technology to handle all these things, and they are considered as the human capital. Okay. So this way we can divide the factors of production. Now we know that in our book the topic which is given, the story of village Palampur. Village Palampur is just a hypothetical village. It is not that only village Palampur has the character and that character is not matched up with other villages of India. It is just, we can say, one model, one identity of village. This village is having an agrarian economy, that is farm activities and non-farm activities. FARM farm means agricultural land, and FIRM farm means industrial unit. We are talking about farm, FARM farm. So farm activities and non-farm activities, that means those activities which are not directly related to agriculture. Okay, the farm activities and non-farm activities together, the village economy is growing. Today we will talk about the farm activities. Under the farm activities, we will see there are 450 families. Out of this, 150 families are Dalits, and they are staying at the outskirts of village Palampur. 260 families are working on the agricultural land. They are having the plots less than 2 hectares, not sufficient, and the rest 60 families, the medium and large farmers, who are occupying more than half of the total agricultural land. So their economic condition is also very high. So that should be taken into consideration. 450, out of that 150 are Dalits, 260 are having very less amount of land, and only 60 families are quite rich. This is the agrarian part of the village Palampur. During the Kharif season, that is the rainy season, jowar and bajra is produced, and this jowar and bajra is used for the cattle, to feed the cattle. It is used as fodder. Next, during the period October to December, potato is produced or grown, and during the rainy season, rabi crop, the wheat is grown, and sugarcane is also grown in that area. Village Palampur is quite fortunate to have good irrigational facilities due to the availability of electricity, and this there is the existence of multiple cropping system. Multiple cropping, we know that when we are using the same plot of land more than one time. Although in today's analysis, we know that from the modern point of view, from the environmental point of view, multiple cropping is not advised because it reduces the fertility of the soil. But that is present in Palampur. Okay, so jowar, bajra, potato and wheat, sugarcane are produced in this. Now we are coming to the very important parts of India's economic development, which has happened in 1960s, and we cannot forget the name of M.S. Swaminathan, the great agriculturist. To be precise, he is genetics expert, and it is a family. M.S. Swaminathan's wife, she is a great educationist, and her proud daughter, Soma Swaminathan, who is now the special scientist in World Health Organization. And during this pandemic, she is working hard all over the world. So this M.S. Swaminathan had a magic seed which is called the high yielding variety seeds. High yielding variety seeds. These seeds had made a change, a revolution in the Indian agricultural activities. These HYB seeds had created surplus production, and because of this surplus production, particularly wheat and rice, India became self-sufficient in their staple food production. This HYB seeds needs huge amount of water and chemical fertilizer. That is a prerequisite for this HYB seeds. We can say that is a very salient feature of HYB seeds, that it needs huge amount of water and chemical fertilizers. So chemical fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides were used during this period of revolution in order to protect the seeds from locust or other insects, bad insects, harmful insects. And therefore the irrigation facilities had developed. Irrigation facilities were needed because of the huge demand of water. Mechanization of agriculture. We have seen during this period that large farmland, India's agriculture is predominantly small scattered land in which the farmers are ploughing. During this period of time, as the mechanization of technology had been taken place, therefore tractors, power tillers, threshers, harvesters, this kind of state-of-the-art technology was used, and therefore it needed large amount of land. Therefore, mechanization had also taken place. We have seen what I have already mentioned, those equipments were started using in place of the traditional equipments. Large farmland, surplus production. Production was made for market. There was huge commercialization of agriculture. The agriculture was not limited just for self-sufficiency. The farmers were not producing only for their own, but for the market, because they were getting huge return from their crops. And because of this commercialization of agriculture, the farmers' economic condition become very much sound. They are having a huge power, economic power, to maintain themselves, and it makes them stable. Because in our country, we see that our farmers are depending upon the vagaries of monsoon, and they are very much uncertain about the production of the crop and selling of the crop and the return from the crops. Here we see that because of this all, the production was huge. There is a huge market for their crops, and therefore their economic condition become very much conducive, very much sound and steady. But we know wherever there is some good thing. Obviously, it must have some limitations. Nothing can be free from demerits. Here also we can see the limitations of green revolution. First and foremost thing, overuse of fertilizers. Because of green revolution, the utilization of fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides were huge, and as a result of which the fertility of the soil, the character of the soil got changed. Second is lowering of water table. As we drag the water more and more for irrigation purpose to feed the HYB seeds, the water table gone down. You have studied it elaborately in environmental studies, and therefore we are seriously at a stake of not only for agriculture but also for the civilization. So water table got reduced. Thirdly, reduction of organic compositions. As we have used so many chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, it has completely, absolutely changed the character of the soil. The organic compositions of the soil are getting depleted. Okay, so the fertility of the soil has gone down. Next, limited mechanization. Although we are proud that during the Green Revolution, the mechanization of agriculture has taken place. It's true. But where? It was confined only into Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, we have seen that yes, the revolution has really and truly taken place. But what about the rest areas? So this had not been done everywhere. So mechanization of agriculture had been limited onto those areas. Next is limited benefits. Limited benefits means it is giving the benefit only to the large farmers, only to the rich farmers. You can ask me why. When you are going to get fund from the banks, you have to have certain things as guarantee into the bank. Then only bank will give you the loan. So it was possible only for those rich and medium people, medium farmers who had enough in their disposal. So they got the benefit. They could purchase the HYB seeds, they could purchase the fertilizers, they could purchase the pesticides, insecticides, they could purchase tractors, etc. Tractors, then power tillers, all kind of equipments. But it was not possible for the small farmers, for the marginal farmers. And we know in India, their percentage is quite high. Last but not the least, we are very much concerned about the sustainability of development. The development which will gives us yield today as well as gives way for tomorrow. It will not harm our future. So that kind of development, how can you expect if mercilessly water is being dragged, mercilessly the character of the soil is being changed, instead of manure you are using more and more chemical fertilizers. Okay, but one thing we should not forget, because of this commercialization of agriculture, industry also got benefited. Industry also got benefited. Why? Now more and more need for plants of these pesticides, insecticides. So different plants are constructed and factories are getting huge demand for tractors, power tillers, thrashers, these kind of equipments. But altogether, if we come to a conclusion that Green Revolution had made a sea change into the Indian economic structure, India becomes self-sufficient. In class 9th we have studied in the last part we will study the food security of India. Okay, that food is now secured in our country, and this is because of the Green Revolution. So just a small recapitulation, that Green Revolution is that revolution, surplus production of staple food, particularly wheat and rice, with the use of HYB seeds and mechanization of agriculture. The benefits are, it was used with herbicides, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides were used, irrigation facilities were available, mechanization of agriculture had taken place, large farmland were used, surplus production was visible, and commercialization of agriculture happened. And because of that, industry also got benefited, because there was huge need for tractors, threshers, power tillers, harvesters, in one hand, and another, new plants have been constructed to produce pesticides, insecticides, chemical fertilizers. Okay, so this is all the merits of this, but the limitations are there. It over-utilization of fertilizer, it lowered the water table, organic compositions being reduced, limited mechanization, it was not flourished all over the country, and the benefits were concentrated onto the large farmers, rich farmers, and the sustainability was violated. Okay, so with this we are completing today's discussion, and in our next discussion we will discuss on the non-farm activities. So green revolution, one of the very important part of Indian economy, and that is related to the story of village Palampur. So once again I am reminding, village Palampur is just a hypothetical village.